1. We're taking a closer look at a classic beauty that's up for grabs on Craigslist, a 1983 Chrysler New Yorker, also known as the Chrysler Fifth Ave. This white sedan is a real head-turner, and it could be yours for just $4,200. Now let's dive into the details. The seller mentions that this New Yorker is in good condition, and it certainly seems to be the case. With 130,000 miles on the odometer, this car has seen its fair share of the road, but it's still going strong. The seller notes that it runs and drives very well, and it starts up every time without any issues. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 5.2-liter, 8-cylinder engine that's sure to give you a thrilling ride. And with rear-wheel drive, this car is a true classic. The transmission is automatic, making it easy to drive and perfect for cruising around town or hitting the highway. One of the standout features of this New Yorker is the interior. The seller describes it as being in very good shape and compares it to sitting on a couch while you're driving. That sounds like the ultimate in comfort and luxury. The only minor issue mentioned is that the power antenna is missing, but the seller has the replacement part, and the radio still works just fine. It's worth noting that while the heat works very well, the air conditioning does need to be recharged for the summer, but that's a small price to pay for a car that's over 40 years old and still in such great condition. The seller is upfront about the reason for selling this beauty. They're moving and simply don't have the room for it anymore. It's a must-sell situation, which means you could potentially score a great deal on this classic ride. Overall, this 1983 Chrysler New Yorker seems like a solid car with a lot of character. It's a rare find to come across a vehicle that's over 40 years old and still in such good shape. If you're in the market for a vintage sedan with a powerful engine and a comfortable interior, this could be the perfect car for you. Don't miss out on this opportunity to own a piece of automotive history. 2. We've got a real treat for you, a 1977 Chevy Nova that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at $14,950, and it's definitely worth taking a closer look at. First off, let's talk about the condition of this Nova. The seller describes it as being in good shape, and based on the list of recent upgrades and replacements, it's clear that they've put a lot of work into keeping this car in top form. The interior is said to be super clean, and the paint is in great shape, with the exception of some clear coat peeling on the hood and trunk. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 305 V8 engine that's sure to give you plenty of get up and go. The car also features dual exhaust and rally wheels, giving it a sporty look and sound. And with new tires, a new battery, and a host of other new components, including an alternator, water pump, plugs, and wires, you can feel confident that this Nova is ready to hit the road. One of the standout features of this car is the low mileage. The odometer shows just 50,000 miles, which is incredibly low for a car that's over 40 years old. This suggests that the car has been well cared for throughout its life, and that it has plenty of miles left in it. The Nova also comes equipped with power steering and power brakes, making it easy and comfortable to drive. The AM/FM radio is a nice touch, allowing you to enjoy your favorite tunes while cruising down the road. The seller mentions that this is a two-owner car and that they have the title in hand. This is always a good sign, as it suggests that the car has been well maintained and has a clear history. Overall, this 1977 Chevy Nova seems like a great find for anyone in the market for a classic muscle car. With its powerful engine, recent upgrades, and low mileage, it's sure to turn heads and provide plenty of driving enjoyment. And at $14,950, it's priced competitively for a car of this caliber. If you're looking for a vintage ride that's ready to hit the road, this Nova is definitely worth checking out. 3. We're taking a look at a classic 1974 Plymouth Valiant that's currently for sale on Craigslist. The seller is asking $6,000 or best offer for this vintage ride, and they're only interested in serious inquiries. Now let's dive into the details. The seller hasn't provided a ton of information about the condition of the car, but they do mention that it runs great and has had multiple parts upgraded. This suggests that the car has been well maintained and has received some recent attention to keep it in good running order. The odometer shows just 67,181 miles, which is relatively low for a car that's almost 50 years old. This could be a good sign that the car has been lightly used and well cared for throughout its life. The paint color is listed as green, which is a classic color for a car of this era. The seller doesn't mention anything about the condition of the paint or body, so it's hard to say whether there are any dents, dings, or rust spots to be aware of. Under the hood, you'll find a gas-powered engine, which is typical for a car of this age. The transmission is automatic, making it easy to drive, and a good choice for anyone who prefers not to shift gears manually. One thing to note is that the seller hasn't provided any photos of the interior, so it's hard to say what kind of shape it's in. They also haven't mentioned anything about the tires, brakes, or other key components that can affect the overall driving experience. Overall, this 1974 Plymouth Valiant seems like it could be a solid choice for someone who's in the market for a classic car with some recent upgrades. The low mileage and runs great description are definitely appealing, but without more information about the overall condition of the car, it's hard to say whether it's a good deal at $6,000. 4. We've got a real treat for you, a 1972 Buick Skylark GS 455 that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This beauty is a GSX Stage 1 tribute, and it's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. The seller is asking $20,000 firm, which is a significant drop from their original asking price of $28,000. They're looking to sell fast, as they've found another car they want to purchase. Now let's dive into the details. Under the hood, you'll find a big block 455 Buick engine with Stage 1 specs, which is sure to provide plenty of power and performance. The car also features a turbo 400 Buick transmission with a stall converter, as well as a 12-bolt posi-traction rear end with 3.42 gears. The seller notes that this is a no AC car with only heat available. However, all the lights, radio, and windshield wipers are in working order. The car also features a lowering suspension with tubular arms, front disc brakes, and front and rear sway bars. The seller has owned this Skylark for 7 years and has enjoyed driving it to car shows and Saturday night cruises with their family. They're not selling due to financial problems, but rather because they're looking to purchase something different. It's worth noting that while the car has been well maintained and garage kept for 6 out of the 7 years the seller has owned it, it is starting to show some wear and tear. There are rips on the seats, a crack on the dash pad, and some rust on the lower back window panel. The power steering also leaks fluid, and there's a bit of oil leaking from the valve cover. However, the floors, trunk, quarter panels, fenders, and front windshield are all solid. The seller mentions that the car was restored some time ago, and the previous owner kept detailed records of the work done in a binder that will be included with the sale. They also note that the car was appraised by RBFCU Credit Union at $37,000. Overall, this 1972 Buick Skylark GS 455 seems like a solid choice for someone who's looking for a classic muscle car with plenty of power and style. While it does have some minor issues that need to be addressed, it's clear that the seller has taken good care of it and is looking to pass it on to someone who will appreciate and enjoy it as much as they have. If you're in the market for a vintage ride that's sure to turn heads, this Skylark is definitely worth checking out. 5. We've got a real gem to share with you, a stunning 1959 Ford Galaxy that's currently up for sale on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at $23,900, and it's easy to see why. The Galaxy was Ford's answer to the Chevrolet Impala, and it aimed to captivate consumers with its perfect blend of luxury and style. First off, let's talk about the exterior. This Galaxy is finished in a sleek raven black paint that's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. The car also features a Continental kit and rear skirts, which add to its already impressive presence on the road. Moving on to the interior, you'll find a gorgeous torch red color scheme that's just as eye-catching as the exterior. The seller notes that this Galaxy was a local guy's pride and joy, and it shows in the care and attention to detail that's been put into every aspect of the car. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful V8 engine that's ready to roar to life. The transmission is an automatic, making it easy and comfortable to drive. And with a VIN of C9PS138853, You can rest assured that this is a genuine 1959 Galaxie. The seller, Choice Auto, promises no pressure selling and the lowest overhead in the industry, which allows them to offer the best quality vehicles at the lowest possible prices. They also offer a wide variety of finance sources, including options for those with good credit, poor credit, and even no credit. And with no payments for 45 days with qualified credit, it's easier than ever to make this Galaxie your own. Choice Auto also offers service contracts and gap insurance to protect your investment. And their #1 goal is to make your car buying experience the best you've ever had. They invite you to give them a chance and check out their website, or give them a call for more information on this Galaxie and many other vehicles in their inventory. Overall, this 1959 Ford Galaxie seems like a fantastic opportunity for anyone who's in the market for a classic car with plenty of style and character. 6. We've got a real treat for you. A stunning 1972 Pontiac Grand Prix that's currently up for sale on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at $17,000, and it's easy to see why. The Grand Prix was known for its sleek styling, powerful performance, and luxurious features, and this particular example seems to have it all. First off, let's talk about the condition of this Grand Prix. The seller describes it as being in good condition, which is always a positive sign when it comes to classic cars. The odometer shows just 28,254 miles, which is incredibly low for a car that's almost 50 years old. This suggests that the car has been well cared for and hasn't been driven too hard over the years. Moving on to the exterior, this Grand Prix is finished in a beautiful green paint that's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. The color is classic and understated, yet still eye-catching and unique. The seller doesn't mention anything about the condition of the paint or body, so it's safe to assume that it's in good shape with no major dents, dings, or rust spots. Inside, you'll find a black interior that's just as impressive as the exterior. The seller doesn't provide any photos or details about the condition of the interior, but given the low mileage and good overall condition of the car, it's likely that the seats, dashboard, and other features are in great shape. Under the hood, this Grand Prix is powered by a 400 cubic inch engine that's sure to provide plenty of power and performance. The transmission is an automatic, which makes it easy and comfortable to drive, even for those who may not be used to driving classic cars. One thing to note is that while the seller provides some basic information about the car, there are still some details that are missing. For example, we don't know anything about the car's maintenance history, any recent repairs or upgrades, or whether there are any issues that need to be addressed. However, given the overall condition of the car and the low mileage, it seems like a solid bet for anyone who's in the market for a classic Pontiac. 7. We've got a real gem to share with you. A 1970 Chevrolet Caprice that's currently up for sale on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at $18,000, and it's located in Fresno, California. First off, let's talk about the condition of this Caprice. The seller describes it as being in good condition, which is always a positive sign when it comes to classic cars. The odometer shows 108,500 miles, which is relatively low for a car that's over 50 years old. This suggests that the car has been well maintained and hasn't been driven too hard throughout its life. The seller doesn't provide a ton of details about the car's features or specifications, but based on what we know about the 1970 Caprice, we can make some educated guesses. Under the hood, you'll likely find a powerful V8 engine that's ready to roar to life. The transmission is listed as automatic, which makes it easy and comfortable to drive, even for those who may not be used to driving classic cars. The seller doesn't mention anything about the exterior or interior condition of the car, so it's hard to say whether there are any dents, dings, or other issues to be aware of. However, given the overall good condition of the car, it's likely that the body and interior are in solid shape. One thing to note is that while the seller provides some basic information about the car, there are still some details that are missing. For example, we don't know anything about the car's maintenance history, any recent repairs or upgrades, or whether there are any issues that need to be addressed. However, the seller encourages potential buyers to call or message them with any questions, which is always a good sign. Overall, this 1970 Chevrolet Caprice seems like a fantastic opportunity for anyone who's in the market for a classic car with plenty of style and character. With its good condition, low mileage, and powerful V8 engine, this Caprice is sure to impress. And at $18,000, it seems like a fair price for a car of this caliber, especially considering its rarity and potential for appreciation. 8. We've got a real treat for you. A stunning 1966 Ford Mustang convertible that's currently up for sale on Craigslist. This classic beauty is priced at $26,000, and based on the seller's description, it seems like it's worth every penny. First off, let's talk about the engine. This Mustang is equipped with the original C-Code 289 V8 engine, which is known for its power and reliability. Paired with a standard transmission, this car is sure to provide an exhilarating driving experience that's true to the classic Mustang spirit. The seller mentions that this car is very solid, which is always a good sign when it comes to classic cars. They've invested a lot of money over the past 2 years to ensure that this Mustang is in top condition. Some of the recent upgrades include a new top, new interior, new tank, new carburetor, and a new radiator. With all these improvements, this Mustang is truly turnkey ready and waiting for its new owner to take it out on the open road. One of the standout features of this Mustang is its convertible top. There's nothing quite like cruising down the highway with the wind in your hair and the sun on your face, and this car delivers that experience in spades. The new top is sure to keep you protected from the elements when you need it, while still allowing you to enjoy the freedom of open-air driving. The interior of this Mustang has also been recently updated, which is a big plus. The seller doesn't provide any photos or details about the specific upgrades, but it's safe to assume that the seats, dashboard, and other features are in great shape and ready to provide a comfortable and stylish ride. Another great thing about this Mustang is its clean and clear Arizona title. This means that the car has been well maintained and has a documented history, which is always a good sign when it comes to classic cars. It also means that the transfer of ownership should be a breeze, with no hidden surprises or issues to worry about. Overall, this 1966 Ford Mustang convertible seems like an excellent opportunity for anyone who's in the market for a classic car with plenty of style, power, and character. With its original 289 V8 engine, recent upgrades, and solid condition, this Mustang is sure to turn heads and provide plenty of driving enjoyment for years to come. And at $26,000, it seems like a fair price for a car of this caliber, especially considering the recent improvements and the potential for appreciation over time. 9. We've got a real beast of a machine to share with you, a 1965 Ford Galaxy 500 Fastback that's currently up for sale on Craigslist. This classic muscle car is priced at $27,500, and based on the seller's description, it's clear that a lot of time, money, and effort has gone into making this car a true powerhouse on the road. Let's start with the heart of this beast, the engine. The seller has gone all out with a built 390 block that's been decked, honed, and bored 40 over. It's got Edelbrock aluminum heads, an Elgin E995P cam, new timing chain and gears, sealed power H395P pistons, and a stroke of 3.785 FX 4.090 bore. The engine also features new rods and bearings, a Melling high-volume oil pump, and a new oil pan with windage tray. To top it all off, there's a Ford 427 2X4 LR aluminum dual quad intake manifold with dual 450 Holley carbs with mechanical secondaries. This thing is built to perform, and it's sure to turn heads and drop jaws wherever it goes. But the upgrades don't stop there. This Galaxy also features an MSD 6AL2 ignition box, a Summit Pro billet distributor, and a painless wiring harness to ensure that everything is running smoothly and reliably. In 2022, the seller installed a Tremec TKX 5-speed transmission with a Ram Clutches hydraulic clutch kit and a larger 11-dog GM-style clutch and machined flywheel. The car also has an AZ Drive Shaft's aluminum balanced drive shaft, ensuring that all that power is transferred smoothly to the rear wheels. Speaking of the rear end, This Galaxy has a Ford 9-inch rear with a 3.70-gear Detroit locker and quick performance axles. The car sits on new wheels and tires that were installed in 2021, and it has Carrera coilovers for improved handling. The seller also installed a Hotchkiss front sway bar and has a new rear sway bar that's still in the box. Other upgrades include a new gas tank, halo LED lights, and LED interior and exterior lights. The car also has a fiberglass teardrop hood that's been molded into the stock hood for a sleek and aggressive look. Overall, this 1965 Ford Galaxy 500 Fastback seems like an incredible opportunity for anyone who's looking for a classic muscle car with some serious performance upgrades. With its built 390 engine, Tremec 5-speed transmission, and host of other improvements, this car is sure to provide an exhilarating driving experience that's hard to beat. And while it may not be perfect, it's clear that the seller has put a lot of love and attention into making this car a true standout on the road. 10. We're taking a closer look at a real gem, a 1972 Buick Skylark that's up for grabs on Craigslist. The seller is asking for $21,000, but is it worth the price tag? Let's dive in and find out. First off, the seller claims that this Skylark is in excellent condition, and from the description, it seems like they've put a lot of love and care into this classic ride. The car has been fully restored in the late 90s, and the bodywork and paint job were done professionally by Dominator Hot Rods in Pleasanton. That's a big plus, as it means the car should look pretty slick and shiny. Under the hood, you'll find a factory 350 V8 engine and an automatic transmission, both of which have been freshly rebuilt. That's great news for anyone who wants to use this Skylark as a daily driver. The seller also mentions that the car has power steering and power brakes, which should make it a breeze to handle on the road. Now, let's talk about the extras. The seller has installed a Pioneer sound system worth $4,000, which includes a Pioneer deck, door speakers, 6 X9s, amplifiers, and a subwoofer. That's a pretty sweet setup for anyone who loves their tunes. The car also has HID headlights, which should provide better visibility at night. The seller claims that the car starts right up, runs great, and needs nothing. They also have a California title in hand and current registration until June 2025, which is a good sign that the car is legally owned and up to date with paperwork. Overall, if the seller's description is accurate, this 1972 Buick Skylark seems like a solid classic car that's been well maintained and upgraded with some nice modern touches. The price tag of $21,000 might seem a bit steep, but for a fully restored and well-equipped classic like this, it could be worth it for the right buyer. 11. We've got a real treat for you, a 1977 Ford Thunderbird that's up for sale on Craigslist. The seller is asking $11,950 or best offer, and from the looks of it, this could be a great deal for someone in the market for a vintage ride. First things first, let's talk about the condition of this T-Bird. The seller claims that it's rust-free, which is a huge plus for any classic car. Rust can be a real nightmare to deal with, so knowing that this Thunderbird is free of it is definitely a good sign. The body is also said to be nice and straight, which suggests that it hasn't been in any major accidents or suffered any serious damage over the years. Under the hood, you'll find a 351 V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission. The seller says that the car runs like a champ, which is exactly what you want to hear when you're considering a classic car purchase. The fact that it's got power brakes, power steering, and disc brakes is also a nice bonus, as it should make the car easier and safer to drive. Moving on to the interior, the seller claims that it's in great shape. That's always a good thing to hear, as the interior of a classic car can often be just as important as the exterior. The fact that the AC blows cold is also a big plus, especially if you're planning on using this car as a daily driver or taking it out on long road trips. The tires are also said to be in great shape, which is important for both safety and performance. And of course, the fact that the car is located in Arizona is a big selling point for anyone who's looking for a rust-free classic car. Now let's talk about the price. The seller is asking $11,950 or best offer, which seems like a pretty fair price for a car in this condition. Of course, as with any used car purchase, It's always a good idea to get a professional inspection done before making a final decision. But if everything checks out, this could be a great opportunity to own a piece of American automotive history. Overall, if you're in the market for a classic car that's rust-free, runs well, and has a nice interior, this 1977 Ford Thunderbird is definitely worth checking out. And who knows, maybe we'll even feature it in one of our upcoming videos. As always though, be sure to do your due diligence before making any big purchases. 12. We've got a real beauty for you. A fully restored 1969 Chevrolet Camaro that's up for sale on Craigslist. The seller is asking $27,460, and from the looks of it, this could be a dream come true for someone who's been searching for the perfect classic muscle car. First off, let's talk about the restoration. The seller claims that this Camaro has been fully restored, which is a huge plus. A full restoration means that every aspect of the car has been gone through and brought back to its original glory, or even better. This is the kind of car that you can take to shows and turn heads with, knowing that it's in top condition. Under the hood, you'll find a 355 engine that's putting out a whopping 491 horsepower. That's some serious power, and it's sure to make this Camaro a blast to drive. The seller also mentions that the car has modern performance features, which suggests that it's been upgraded with some newer technology to make it even more fun to drive. The odometer shows 40,480 miles, which is relatively low for a car of this age. Of course, it's important to keep in mind that the odometer may have been reset during the restoration process, so it's always a good idea to get a thorough history of the car before making a purchase. The seller doesn't mention anything about the interior or the condition of the body, so it's hard to say for sure what kind of shape those are in. However, given that the car has been fully restored, it's likely that the interior and exterior have been given just as much attention as the engine. Now, let's talk about the price. $27,260 is definitely on the higher end for a classic Camaro. But it's not unheard of for a fully restored example with a high-performance engine. It's important to keep in mind that a car like this is an investment, and it's likely to hold its value or even appreciate over time if it's well maintained. 13. We've got a real piece of American history for you, a 1964 Ford Galaxie 500 that's up for sale on Craigslist. The seller is asking just $6,000, which could be a steal for the right buyer. But before you go reaching for your wallet, let's take a closer look at what we've got here. First off, the seller is upfront about the fact that this Galaxie has some issues. The transmission is a bit unhappy, with some slipping and occasional reluctance to go into reverse. That's definitely something to keep in mind if you're planning on using this car as a daily driver. The seller also mentions a leak in the trunk, although they do have a new gasket and glue that will be included with the sale. There's also a battery drain issue that the seller hasn't been able to track down. They've got a disconnect set up at the battery to prevent drain and deter theft, but it's still something that will need to be addressed if you want to keep this car on the road. Now, let's talk about the good stuff. First and foremost, just look at this car. It's a real head-turner, with classic lines and a beautiful blue paint job. The seller does mention that the paint is starting to bubble in a few spots, and there's one bad spot of cracked bad bodywork on the passenger side roof, but overall, the car still looks great and gets a lot of attention. Under the hood, the motor is said to be strong, which is always a good sign. The car also has a modern Bluetooth stereo in the glove box, which is a nice touch for those who want to enjoy their tunes while cruising down the road. The power steering has been recently rebuilt and the brakes have been done recently as well. The interior is said to be great, which is important for any classic car. The seller also has the 4 original hubcaps and the original manual to go with the car, which is a nice bonus for any collector. Overall, this 1964 Ford Galaxie 500 seems like a solid project car for someone who's willing to put in a little work. It's got some issues, but nothing that seems insurmountable for a skilled mechanic or enthusiast. And at just $6,000, it could be a great deal for someone who's been looking for a classic Galaxie to call their own. 14. We've got a real classic for you, a 1974 Chevy Nova that's up for sale on Craigslist. The seller is asking $12,750, and from the looks of it, this could be a great opportunity to own a piece of American muscle car history. First off, let's talk about the condition of this Nova. The seller claims that it's in excellent condition, which is always a good sign. They've owned the car since 1986, which suggests that they've taken good care of it over the years. The fact that it's a two-door hatchback model is also a plus, as those are often sought after by collectors and enthusiasts. Under the hood, you'll find a 350 V8 engine that the seller says runs very nice. That's exactly what you want to hear when you're looking at a classic muscle car like this. The engine is the heart of the car, and if it's running well, that's a great sign for the overall health of the vehicle. The odometer shows 27,523 miles, but the seller does note that it has rolled over. That means that the actual mileage is likely higher, but without more information, it's hard to say by how much. Still, if the car has been well maintained over the years, higher mileage shouldn't necessarily be a deal breaker. The seller doesn't provide a ton of details about the interior or the overall condition of the body, but they do mention that it's maroon with a black interior. That's a classic color combination for a Nova, and it's sure to turn heads out on the road. Now, let's talk about the price. $12,150 is definitely on the higher end for a Nova of this vintage, but it's not unheard of for a well-maintained example with a strong engine. It's important to keep in mind that classic car prices can vary widely depending on a number of factors, including condition, rarity, and desirability. 15. We've got a real gem for you. A 1969 Cadillac Fleetwood that's up for sale on Craigslist. The seller is asking $20,000, and from the looks of it, this could be a dream come true for someone who's been searching for a vintage luxury car in excellent condition. First off, let's talk about the condition of this Fleetwood. The seller claims that it's in excellent condition, and based on the description, it seems like they've put a lot of work into making sure that's the case. The car still has its original gold paint, which is a real rarity for a vehicle of this age. That suggests that it's been well cared for over the years and hasn't been subjected to any major body work or repaints. Under the hood, you'll find the original engine, which the seller says runs really well. They don't mention any specific issues with the engine, which is always a good sign. The fact that they've recently done a lot of mechanical work, including replacing the spark plugs, is also a plus. That shows that they've been proactive about maintaining the car and keeping it in top shape. The seller also mentions that they've replaced a number of other components recently, including the rear pads and rotors, rear air shocks, and rear wheel cylinders. That's the kind of maintenance that can really make a difference in how a car drives and handles, so it's great to see that the seller has been on top of those things. The odometer shows 47,400 miles, which is relatively low for a car of this age. Of course, it's always possible that the odometer has been rolled over at some point, but even if that's the case, the car seems to be in excellent condition based on the seller's description. Now let's talk about the price. $20,000 is definitely on the higher end for a Fleetwood of this vintage, but it's not unheard of for a well-maintained example in excellent condition. These cars are becoming increasingly rare and desirable, and the fact that this one still has its original paint and engine is a real selling point. 16. We've got a real beauty for you. A 1965 Ford Thunderbird that's up for sale on Craigslist. The seller is asking $19,000, and from the looks of it, this could be a great opportunity to own a piece of American automotive history. First off, let's talk about the condition of this T-Bird. The seller doesn't explicitly say that it's in excellent condition, but based on the description, it seems like it's in pretty great shape. The body is said to be straight and clean, with fresh white paint that has very few chips and scratches. That's always a good sign for a car of this age. Inside, the red interior looks absolutely stunning. The seller mentions that the car has a wraparound center console that defines the driver area from the passenger section, which is a really cool feature. The main windows are electrically operated, while the wing vents are hand-operated, which is a nice touch of vintage charm. Under the hood, you'll find a 390 Ci V8 engine mated to a 3-speed automatic transmission. The seller mentions that the only modifications made have been in the form of more modern upgrades, including an HEI distributor and a dual reservoir brake master cylinder. That's the kind of thing that can really improve the drivability and reliability of a classic car like this. The seller does note that the car originally came with AC, but the bracket and compressor were removed and the lines plugged. They say that it's a relatively simple modern upgrade for a new owner, but it's something to keep in mind if you're looking for a car with working AC. One really cool feature of this T-Bird is the trunk. The seller says it's amazingly roomy and has bright red wall-to-wall carpeting that's uber clean. They also mention that there are some spare parts included like fender skirts and the original valve covers and brake cylinder, which is a nice bonus. Now, let's talk about the price. $19,000 is definitely on the higher end for a T-Bird of this vintage, but it's not unheard of for a well-maintained example in good condition. These cars are becoming increasingly rare and desirable, and the fact that this one has been upgraded with some modern components could make it a more reliable driver. 17. We're taking a closer look at a real gem, a 1964 Ford Fairlane 500 that's currently up for grabs on Craigslist. This beauty is priced at $26,500, and from what I can see, it's worth every penny. First off, let's talk about the condition. The seller describes it as good, and based on the details provided, I'm inclined to believe them. The silver and black two-tone paint job looks super clean, and the trim is in very nice shape. It's clear that this classic has been well maintained over the years. Under the hood, you'll find a rebuilt 302 5.0L V8 engine that's sure to provide plenty of power and performance. Paired with a rebuilt C4 transmission, this Fairlane 500 is ready to hit the road. The front disc brakes and rear drums ensure solid stopping power, while the dual exhaust with an X-pipe adds a nice throaty sound to the mix. Inside, the bucket seats with a console B&M shifter, new carpet, and door panels create a comfortable and stylish interior. I love that the stereo is mounted in the glove box, keeping it out of sight but still providing great sound quality. The 17-inch wheels with good tires not only look fantastic, but also contribute to the car's overall great running and driving experience. Now, I want to be completely honest with you. While the seller describes the condition as good, it's important to keep in mind that this is a classic car from 1964. It may have some minor imperfections or signs of age, which is to be expected. However, based on the detailed description and the evident care put into this Fairlane 500, I believe it's a solid investment for any classic car lover. The asking price of $26,500 might seem steep at first glance, but when you consider the rarity, condition, and the work put into this vehicle, it's actually quite reasonable. Plus, the seller has listed it as OBO, or best offer, which means there may be some room for negotiation. 18. Let me tell you about this fascinating 1961 Buick Skylark I just spotted on Craigslist for $12,000. This classic beauty has only 67,000 miles on the clock, which is pretty remarkable for a 60-plus-year-old car. The Skylark comes with its original small V8 engine, paired with an automatic transmission sending power to the rear wheels. A proper classic American setup. The seller's got it listed in good condition with a clean title, and it's rocking a yellow paint job. One cool addition is the aftermarket air conditioning, a much appreciated modern comfort in a classic car. The owner has also taken care of some important mechanical work, including a new timing gear and chain, which is definitely a plus for reliability. For $12,000, this Skylark represents a piece of American automotive history. The 1961 model year was particularly special as it was part of the first generation of the Skylark as its own model line. While it's not the cheapest classic out there, considering its reported condition and the relatively low mileage, it could be a solid buy for someone looking to get into classic car ownership or add to their collection. Just remember, as with any classic car, you'll want to do a thorough inspection before pulling the trigger. But from what I can see in the listing, this Skylark seems like a pretty honest example of early 60s American luxury. 19. Let me tell you about this wicked 1961 Ford Galaxy that just popped up on Craigslist for $24,000. This isn't your grandpa's cruiser anymore. We're looking at a proper hot rod with some serious muscle under the hood. The seller's got this beast set up with a big block Ford 390 with a solid lifter cam topped with 3 deuces, that's triple carburetion for you newer folks, and it's all matched to a 4-speed top-loader transmission, one of the toughest gearboxes Ford ever made. The drivetrain gets even better with that 3.55 Posey rear end, which means this black beauty can hook up and go. With 73,445 miles on the clock, it's got some life experience, but isn't worn out. The seller's being straight up about the paint, calling it a 7 out of 10, which is pretty honest. They've also done some serious recent maintenance: new gas tank, fresh rubber, new brakes, electric fuel pump, and interior upgrades including a new headliner and carpet. What really catches my attention is that factory dual exhaust setup. Bet this thing sounds absolutely magnificent. Being located in western Kentucky near Owensboro, this Galaxie has that perfect hot rod heritage vibe. For $24K, you're getting a turnkey hot rod with classic looks and serious performance upgrades. The solid body and good interior, combined with all the mechanical upgrades, make this seem like a pretty fair deal in today's market. Plus, those 3 deuces on a 390, that's just cool no matter how you slice it. 20. Let's talk about this 1982 Chevy Corvette that's popped up on Craigslist for $8,500. This is actually a pretty interesting find, because 1982 was the last year of the C3 generation Corvette, making it a bit special in Corvette history. With just 46,000 miles on the clock, this gray T-top coupe has covered surprisingly few miles for its age. Now, I've got to be straight with you. The seller's description is pretty minimal here, which always makes me a bit cautious. While they're claiming it's in good condition with a clean title and recent smog check, I definitely want to see and know more before making any decisions. The 1982 model came with the L83 Crossfire Injection 350 V8 and only came with an automatic transmission, so at least we know what we're working with mechanically. At $8,500, this price point sits in the middle range for 82 Vettas in today's market. These cars aren't typically major collector items yet, but they're starting to gain some appreciation. The T-tops are a fun feature when they're working properly, but make sure to check for any water leaks. It's a common issue with these cars. If you're interested in this piece of American sports car history, I'd recommend asking for more details about maintenance history. Whether the Crossfire injection system has been maintained, they can be finicky. And definitely check those T-top seals.